meeting at 3, so, or 2 o'clock your time. So, all right, guys, thanks.
All right, Coach Riley, thanks for joining us. We're going to let the room populate a little bit with coaches, give them a few seconds there, and then go ahead and introduce you and then let you get rolling.
Sounds great.
Appreciate you joining us from Oklahoma. And I know all of our football coaches, once you were added to the schedule, reached out to us and said, great job of getting Coach Riley on. And definitely want to extend that invitation as you've been doing to recruit players. And it's always open, and they understand how great a program you guys have, and love seeing you on the big stage. So
thank you. I appreciate that very much. It means a lot.
Just before we get going, just to give you guys an introduction, Coach Lincoln Riley, entering his 4th season as a head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, started out as a quarterback at Texas Tech, became a student assistant for a few years there under Mike Leach, then became a GA, then was hired full-time as receivers coach, where he served in that position for 3 years, moved over to offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach for 4 seasons at East Carolina, then was elevated to assistant head coach in his last season, 2014 at East Carolina, while still serving as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Was hired by Coach Bob Stoops to be the offensive coordinator 2015, served in that capacity for 2 years, as well as coaching the quarterbacks. And then, of course, in 2017, kind of late in the season, in June of the summer, when Coach Stoops retired, Coach Riley was named as his successor. Has coached Heisman winner Baker Mayfield, led the team to a Big 12 Conference Championship, number 2 in the college football playoff rankings, been in semifinals, Rose Bowl berth, 3 consecutive 12-2 seasons at Oklahoma, 3 consecutive Big 12 conference titles, 36-6 as a head coach, 24-3 conference record overall as a head coach. Been tremendous. Broyles Award in 2015 as Assistant Coach of the Year, Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2018. Enough with all the accolades and introduction, Coach. Thank you for joining us at the LHSCA Virtual Clinic. The floor is yours. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everybody, for having me. And it's an honor to be able to join in and talk some ball with you guys today. That's a state I have a tremendous amount of respect for. The quality of players, the quality of coaches have always loved competing against the state, recruiting against the state. It's just again, just a ton of respect and very thankful to have this opportunity to visit with you guys today. Topic today, let's just dive right into it. Topic today is I'm going to give you 2 different past concepts for us that have kind of withstood the test of time. Concepts that we've all been using, all of us that have kind of come out of this quote unquote air raid tree. Some concepts that we've been using for a long time. And the way I'll start is when we put together a game plan, and I have a lot of belief in this. We try to break down our game plan, once it's put together, on how many calls do we have, and we put them in 2 categories, right? So how many calls do we have that are very specific calls that we want against a certain front, blitz, coverage, whatever, meaning that this is a call that we need to call at the right time against the right thing. And then how many calls opposite of that do we have that we honestly don't care a whole lot what we see defensively. We feel confident that we can execute. And I've always believed that 80% at the minimum of your call sheet should be calls that you believe you can execute and your team can execute against anything. The reasons for me, one, I'm not a good enough play caller to get the other ones right. A high percentage of the time, like any game, sometimes you have those games where they just fit and you happen to hit them right. Some games it feels like you can't get the right one called at the right time to save your life. And so some of that is taking some of the pressure off myself as a play caller and trying to play the guessing game too much. I also think some of that is, and I know we've experienced this a lot here at OU the last few years, is we're seeing so many defenses that are trying to do a lot of different things and things that they didn't necessarily haven't shown on film against us. And sometimes that can be unpredictable. And, you know, it's frustrating when you try to put something together or you have too much of a game plan that's against something and ready for a certain coverage, certain pressure, front, whatever. And all of a sudden they don't even do anything like that. And so, you know, we've had a strong belief that, you know, we need to have a core set of plays that we believe give us answers regardless of what they do, and that I know I have in my hip pocket, and at any point situation I can call it and know that I don't really care what they do coverage wise, blitz wise. I'm not sitting there hoping, man, hope they play man here, man, I hope I catch them in a blitz, whatever. I'm just worried about our execution, and our players are as well. So to set that up, these two plays certainly fall under that category for us. So I'm going to share my screen here. So the first one for us is our base Y cross, and this has definitely been one of our top pass concepts for the last 20 years. I'm going to show you some ways that we've evolved with it. I'm going to talk to you about how we coach the quarterbacks, and then some of the ways we've done it both from a drop back and from a play action format. Yeah, hopefully you like what you see. So. All right, so our base Y cross is this right here. We've got a must outside release vertical. We've got a little speed out. All right, that's your left flat presence. We have the Y cross, which I'll talk about here in depth in a minute. We have a deep 15-yard curl, and then the running back on a swing route. He's your flat presence on the right side. So talking about the base part of these routes. One thing that we believe a whole lot in is when we coach our receivers and we have concepts like this, is guys understanding where, number one, where are they in the progression? And then number two, what other routes are happening around them and how does that affect them? So I'm going to give you an example here. This vertical down here at the bottom, okay? One thing for us on this vertical is he has to know first that he's first in the progression. Okay, and second, that he's got a speed out happening right here. So what that's going to tell him is he cannot take a lot of time on this release. It's not only a must outside release, but it's also a must speed release. Okay, he cannot sit there and work this for a long time and then release, because then we're going to have a train wreck between him and the out. So this has got to happen quickly. So you're going to see this receiver at the bottom, just a quick stutter off the line and then gone into the vertical. See the little speed out by the slot receiver. Pretty standard there, no adjustments on that route. The Y cross portion of this route, and I'm going to kind of go through the routes and I'll come back and talk progressions. The Y cross is the route that if you put this in, if you run this play, this is where you want your feel guy. This is where you want your guy that just gets it. If it's a bonus and he's very athletic and can separate, that's gravy. But your guy's got to be able to understand football, not be a rep guy, and have some feel to be able to be a great Y cross runner, in my opinion. The way we coach this route is there's one kind of base rule, and then after that, they've got to understand man zone, and then they've got to understand kind of what this part of the field looks like. So the way we first coach at day one is we tell them it's a crossing route. Okay, you're under Sam. Okay, so you're coming under him, and then you have to get over the Mike linebacker. Okay, as you're doing that, you're going to get a man zone read. If you get man coverage, then we want to separate and flatten. Okay, so what you're going to see here is the receiver wins on the release with a little jab. He's got decent separation, so he's just going to continue on. If this nickel here were to attach to him and us not have good separation, then you would see us do what we call stair stepping, which means we're going to lean back into that defender and snap this off. But the key for us here is in man coverage, we are going to flatten. And I honestly would have loved to have seen our Y receiver here at this point put that toe in the ground and start flattening here instead of coming up the field, because against a great DB, a DB with very good speed, okay, you come up the field, you invite somebody to undercut a ball, and that's obviously what we do not want. So if we win off the release, we can take it right now. If not, we're going to snap it off. And I'll show you some zone looks in a minute, and we'll talk about the zone looks. Up top is a great example of the first point I made about the vertical and understanding where you are in the progression and what other routes are around you. So when we're looking up top, we have a deep 15-yard curl route. Okay, he's fourth in the progression, and he's got a route, an in-breaking route here that really doesn't affect him at all. Never at any point would we release out here. So what the Z receiver knows, yeah, I got a 15-yard curl, but also I'm not affected by the receiver next to me, and I'm at the end of the progression, okay, which is going to tell him I have time. I can work this route a lot of different ways. So what you're going to see up top, it's completely the opposite of this vertical, okay? So up top, you're going to see works him outside, sets him up, back underneath, even gives him at the top of it. He can tell he hasn't separated much, so gives him a little stutter, and you can see just this little stutter at the top. And I think this is key on this route. Just that stutter, like he's getting ready to take him back to the out route. What does that do? That causes that corner, okay, to hesitate, to set his feet. And now we get some separation on the route. We don't fully get into the curl just because the ball's already thrown. But he can do that because of not only what the route is and what the Y is doing, but also because he's at the end of the progression. And I think those guys understanding that is huge. And then, like I said, the back is on a swing route. Let's talk progression a little bit. Okay, so on the progression of this for our quarterback, we've got kind of two ways to look at it. So I'm going to show you a handful of plays where over here on the left side, we have just a quick game concept, just like you're seeing right here. Okay, we've got a quick game concept. If we have that, the quarterback is always going to look there first, always. Okay, if he wants to take the quick game concept, whether it's taking the vert, taking the speed out in here, he can take it. If he doesn't, he's going to get his eyes to Y quickly. And our whole deal here with Y, because Y is kind of where all this stems from, is Y is going to take you to the next read. And that's how we coach it. And I think that'll make more sense as I show you some more examples. But basically, it's as simple as this. And this is how I tell our quarterbacks. Once we get to Y in the progression, if he is covered, then whoever is covering him is telling you where to go next. So let me give you some examples. We'll see one of these in a minute. I'm running Y cross. I've got a zone linebacker here, okay, that drops off underneath and keeps me from throwing it. That's going to tell me to get to my flat route. I'm running Y cross, and I got a Mike that turns and runs with him, vacates this area right here. That's going to tell me to get to my curl, which is attacking that part of the field. And then later on, you're going to see we're going to tag a post over here to the X side, and I'm running Y cross, and I get a safety coming down. That's going to tell me to go over the top. So my next read off of Y is always based on who covered him, who kept me from throwing him the football.
Coach Riley.
Yes.
To interrupt, could you get it to where your screen replaces yourself? I had a few people just ask me that.
That help or no?
The screen shared, small thumbnail screen was in the full screen. Let's see.
Try this again. Does that help?
You can just click the thumbnail. Try doing that. Click the thumbnail.
I am. It's full screen on mine. Let's see.
Yeah, double click it. Double click that thumbnail.
Where at?
Double click on the thumbnail. Double tap it. There we go.
That help?
We're good. Yeah, we're good now. Yep.
Good. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to show you a different example here with a little bit different quick game happening on this side. So now, instead of the speed out and vertical, what we've attached is an inside fade with a 6-step out route. Just a different concept that we like to throw quite a bit. So regardless, you're going to see the quarterback, okay, eyes to the left side right now. He's got his eyes over there, and he sees a cover 2 happening, okay? So he knows right now, corner squatting on my out route. Obviously, the inside fade is out with the high safety there, so he's going to get back to this Y receiver, okay? And I honestly think here he's probably a little bit late. Our Y receiver, and this is where some of the feel comes with this route, our Y receiver has the ability in any zone that if he gets to a very open spot that he can set up. And there's a lot of trial and error for us, but this is a pretty obvious one here. This is a Tampa 2. He feels it replaces the mic. We would like him to push deeper. He should not curl this up until 10 yards. He's actually open a little too soon. Again, he has to know where he's at in the progression. He's not first, okay? So he needs to press this up deeper, and then we can catch this thing and get a little bit more yak, okay? Pretty simple look there. All right, I've got a couple better ones here for you. Okay, here's a great example of what I talked about earlier. All right, let's look at this. So we have, first off, we have a 2-back set. So now we're just going to get double swing routes. That's how we get our 2 flats. And now we have tagged an X post. So if we tag X post, okay, now this is not our first read. Now we are going to get a quick look of what's happening over here, but we are going to get to Y quickly. And what would get us to a post is what we said earlier. A safety coming down on the Y cross takes us to the post. So as we watch this unfold, okay, we're going to see a couple things. First, they go back to 1 high safety. Okay, so we know now, again, unless this safety just flies down on this cross, the post is probably out. Okay, so he knows he's got a deep safety. He's looking at the Y cross, and he sees the Y getting ready to beat these guys. He's beat the nickel. He's running right past the Mike linebacker, but then what does he see in this window? That Will hanging in the box, trying to squeeze that route. So immediately, instead of going to the post curl, he does the correct thing and goes to that tailback on that side right now, and now we got an easy throw for a big play up the sideline. If the nickel squeezes this and really wins, let's say that Mike turns and runs with him as well, then we can see that post curl window opening up right here. But this is a good look right here. If you watch Kyler's eyes, okay, very quickly you can see he just looks left very quickly, but now he sees the safety. He's on Y. He thinks he's getting ready to throw Y, but feels that and then replaces him with the back right now. So that is a great example of once you're to Y, your next read comes off of who keeps you from throwing it to the Y receiver. This is an example out of trips. So now all we're doing is putting this H in the flat, tailback in flat here. All the other routes stay the same. So this is a good example of what we just talked about with the zone look. Okay, they're locking it up top, getting kind of like a cover 3 down here at the bottom. Okay, but what you'll see here is this Y receiver open enough in this zone, he should curl this up without a doubt. That is more than enough grass for us to go ahead and shut that down. Okay, and probably where the ball would have been thrown. This is also a great example of how we coach our curl routes. So any type of curl that we have, and I think this point is huge, especially from the quarterback's perspective, is, you know, we always talk about, you know, everybody, you know, argues, well, do you go 12 back to 10 or blah, blah, blah. For us on a curl route, it's very simple. We have a depth that you get to, and then you come back to the football. There's never a back to anything for us. It's you get your depth, you come back to the football. And then the key point, I think, from the quarterback perspective is what angle do you come back on? And I think that's where you got to be very specific. So, I mean, when you run a curl, do you come straight down? Do you come at a 45? How do you do it? For us, it's very simple. when we run a curl route and we hit the top of that route, we always come straight back to the quarterback, wherever he's at. So if I'm running a curl in the middle of the field, I'm going to be coming straight downhill to the quarterback. If I'm running a curl like we are out here, I'm going to be coming back on a 45. But again, it is in a straight line to that quarterback. So we're on the same page. And if we have to adjust, we adjust from there. That way we're always on the same page. Okay, so we step up in the pocket. You can see he's wanting to throw Y. Y did not settle. Moves on to Z. Okay, and what you're going to see is Z does a beautiful job of coming straight back down. Quarterback sees his zone dropper, so puts the ball away from him. Great job by the Z attacking the football. Okay, this is a good look. Okay, so you see we're in a tight end attached set or a wing set here. We've got the post tag. So you're going to see the quarterback quickly look over there, but I'm going to get eyes on my Y quickly. As he looks at the Y, he feels linebackers dropping underneath and obviously extremely crowded there. He could dump this ball to the flat. I wouldn't have beat him up too bad, but I like that he sees defense overplaying this way, gets back to the Z. Again, you see our Z does a really nice job of curling straight back to the quarterback and then working back to the football. So again, eyes on Y. I feel these guys running here with him, and there we go. Again, this could have got dumped to the flat, would have been fine, but I like that he moved on to the Z. Okay, now these are pretty good here now. So we're going to transition here to a few more play action shots. I think on the play actions, I think it's important to decide, just what you want out of the play action. So to me, there's kind of two ways you can do these. One is, you get a softer play action, and then you get backs in the flat, and you still have a flat presence. Or you can go a harder play action with a more secure protection, keep the backs in the protection. You just lose your flat routes. And I think that's game plan and just what you prefer as a coach. What you're going to see here is a harder play action and a stronger protection. So we got a little slide protection going, just a play action off split zone, and we've got post tagged. So now the quarterback, all he's going to do, the post won't be the first read. So all he's going to do is get those eyes on Y after a great fake. And then if he doesn't throw Y, how he's covered will take him to the next read. Could be the post or could be the curl down here at the bottom. So great fake, eyes down, nice reset. We're in good shape. And then we obviously see safety coming downhill. So that's a trigger to us on the post, and we get the shot over the top. So the key is knowing, do I have a quick game concept to my left side? If I do, that's where I start. If I don't, if I have a deeper route like a post here, then I'm going to start with my Y and play off of them. It's that simple for us. Here's a look. It's a very similar protection, but a look at split backs. You'll see us pick up a safety blitz here with this. Now, this is a great look. So if I'm my Y receiver, I want to talk about him a little bit here and just this Y's route on a few more of these. So I'm the Y. Again, my job is to get under the Sam and over to Mike. Okay. So as I'm working across, I feel like I'm getting attached to here. He is turning and running with me. Now, this is Sterling Shepard, a guy that can really run and separate. So you're going to see him flatten this off, and he does a great job of taking away any angle this defender would have, okay, to undercut this ball. Beautiful job of flattening and gives the quarterback a target for a pretty easy throw here. Really well done. Now, what you're going to see in a minute, we've seen a lot of kind of man-type looks for our Ys. Is we're going to show you some zone looks and how that changes. What happens when they don't get attached to. This is excellent. And once again, if he really attaches to me, then that's when I want to lean, snap him off, and gain my separation that way. Again, with the X post tag here, but this is Y all the way. Okay. All right. So great look here. Okay. It's the exact same call. Okay. The cross with the post, 7-man pass pro. Okay. So now watch it from the Y's perspective, because this looks very similar to the previous clip early on, but with the one key difference. So I'm working inside. You can tell at this point he's trying to figure out, he's looking at this defender. Is this man or not? Right now, he knows it's zone. That defender passes him off. So at this point, this is the key, and this is where your Y's got to really be smart, okay? Now we do not want to flatten off, okay? We want to start climbing to grass. So if I don't see, as soon as I know it's zone, right now, I'm going to start working up to this part of the field unless there's a defender just sitting back here. If there is, then I can flatten underneath him. But I am thinking in any zone, the rule is I want to climb, okay, unless I'm climbing right into a defender. And I'm going to show you a look at that here in a second. So great job climbing, because at this point, we don't want these guys to be able to keep us from throwing this. So he gets over the top, and honestly, I think he even flattens a little more here than I would like. I'd like to see him even keep this a little bit higher, but flattens enough that Baker can easily just drop this ball over the backer, and we got a big play. Again, you see Baker's eyes quickly checking the left side. Now back to Y. And there's our touch throw in the zone. Just a one-on-one shot here. You see Baker speeds up the fake a little bit because of that. So here we have the vertical tag. So if we're going to throw this now, we got to throw it now. Okay, so we are definitely looking at X first. So we come out in the fake, and we see safety just hanging. We know we like the matchup, and it's a true one-on-one, and we just kind of let this one fly and let a guy go make a play on it. We end up running by the corner. Pretty nice job by our Y here. You know, we try to teach them to use this pick a little bit with this umpire. So this is really good. You can see kind of snaps him off right there. Really well done. Umpire probably didn't like it, but it's pretty good. Again, watch the Z. Okay, again, he can be patient. So see that patience off the line, stutters him, attacks him wide, back inside, and got a chance to really separate there at the top of that route. All right, this is an awesome look here. Okay, so again, another play action, just a little different look on it. And now what we see, okay, if I'm this Y, is I know at this point, especially on this motion, I know this is zone coverage. Okay, so in his mind right now, he's thinking, okay, I'm going to get through here and I want to climb unless I've got a defender in this area, and then I can flatten, okay, to protect the throw. So watch him. Zone coverage. Okay, works his cross. As he's working across, look at his eyes right there. Look at his eyes. What's he looking at? He's looking at what's happening over here. He's not getting the ball yet. He knows he's not first in the progression. He's not getting the ball yet. He's got time to decipher what's happening over here. So he sees defender hanging right here. He ain't going to run right up in here. He's going to get the hell knocked out of him, or it's going to get picked. So watch what he does. Flattens it off, gets underneath that corner, and we're in good shape. Beautiful job by the Y. This is where you can't have a robot there. And that's why we don't just say zone you climb, man you flatten. Zone you try to climb, but if somebody's going to be sitting right there in any zones, then I've got the ability to flatten to protect the throw. Easy decision for the quarterback. Again, nobody really ever keeping him from throwing the Y here. So I get a good play action fake, eyes on the Y, boom, right now. In rhythm, really well done. This is just a token play action fake, but this is just a different look here on this quick game side. So a little screen and go. Okay, don't get a ton of bite on it. So we get quickly to Y. This is a beautiful job by the Y. Watch him here. So again, normally we're trying to get under Sam and over Mike, but he sees on the play action him jump down. So he just goes ahead and goes over, which I'm with him. You can't run a deep cross from getting down in here. So nice job by our Y adjusting. And what's going to happen, he comes open in this zone. I would have been fine with him just actively curling this up. But the thing you see he does is he just throttles down just a little bit. He knows he's open. He knows he'd like to get it right now, and then gives Baker time to get back to him. So just a very, very good feel there. And the thing I love, he's giving the quarterback a very clear picture of what he's doing. So he knows it's zone coverage right now. He knows it's zone. He's trying not to haul ass too much and get himself into this zone quickly. Now, if he doesn't get this ball quickly, he would need to continue to climb and potentially would get the soft throw right here. Pretty good.
Coach, we got a question. What is ideal depth on for the Y cross?
Been asked that a bunch, man. So what we've told our guys is if they end up climbing, so if it is a zone coverage and they end up climbing, they would run out of bounds 25 yards deep. All right, so they would be out of bounds 25 yards deep if they were to continue. So that's the kind of angle that we want these guys on climbing. Now, anything else, Tampa 2s, we've told them they can't settle any less than 10 yards. Any of these snap-offs is just totally going to depend on how they're getting played. So if it's a man coverage, our deal becomes less about depth and more about winning, okay? Sometimes a man attach may happen from out here, and you may end up snapping this thing off 12 yards deep. Sometimes you get up here and get pressed in man coverage, and it may be an inside release and snapping this thing off 7 yards deep. When we're getting attached to, it's more about separation than depth. So I hope that answers your question, but there's a lot to this route, but that is why, kind of going back to my very first point before we started this, that we feel like we can execute it no matter what you do defensively.
And, Coach, we have another one. If you'll take it, what makes you tag the post front side if you're seeing the safety driving on the cross?
Yeah, I think it's that. Sometimes it's game plan. Sometimes it's pre-snap looks. I think some of it's just how good of a post thrower or vertical thrower your quarterback is. The quick game concepts that will tag over there a lot of times, just what the quarterback's favorite ones are. I mean, I think a lot of different factors. And I think any of your quick game concepts that you guys have in your program that you like that will clear out this side of the field will all work with this play. Okay, I know I've got a few minutes here, but I do want to cover this this concept as well. This one has much less variation to it. Pretty straightforward for us. No real tags. We call this and run it. It's a trips concept for us. We can call it from the field boundary, either way. So let me show you this route here. So what you're going to see is the single receiver, and he's the first read, is going to have a vertical. Now, this is not must outside release, okay? And then he can work this vertical. He's the first read, but he doesn't have anything that makes him have to be in a hurry. So he can really work to win here. That's the first read. Our tailback is going to be on a free release swing route. He's the second read. Over here, what you're going to see is a little pick that's going to happen. You're going to get a dig route off of an outside stem, okay, that can curl up or continue on based on man or zone. I'm going to get a one-step shallow route by my number 2 receiver, and then I'm going to get another 15-yard curl route on the backside, but he has to keep width because this dig can curl up as well. This has been a great concept for us. It's again, really good versus zones. You can attack these zones. It's great for a number of reasons, for some individual matchups, which I'll talk about in a minute. You get a vertical, you get some natural picks right here for man. Just really, and it's a really easy progression. This progression never changes for us no matter what. So again, first read on this vert. Our whole deal in this play, and the way I push our quarterbacks in this play, is don't let them play the X receiver, the single receiver one-on-one. If they do that, then they can squeeze this play. They can add an extra defender to this part of the play, and we can lose our advantage. When they start taking that high free safety and running him over here, or they start cover two in this thing, then we are going to have numbers back here, 100%. But they can't play us one-on-one. So easy decision here for the quarterback, low safety, one-on-one, a lot of field to use. Here we go. This is a great play, and you're going to see a shot of it here in a second. If you've got a tailback that's an elite athlete that you like to get him out in space, you'll get a lot of free, easy throws on this, because even this, if we've got an elite tailback right here, we love that matchup, especially getting him out there to the field like that. Even if the backer's running out there with him, make him tackle him one-on-one in space. We always try to put our speed receiver in the slot, because that's where you're going to get that pick in man, and then even in zones, that becomes a difficult pass off. We'll see a shot here versus Tennessee in a second that'll show you. This dig needs to get more depth. Okay, one big deal for us on this play is we want this shallow and this dig on different levels. So what you're going to see is like how close these guys are to each other right now. That's too close. So we would want that dig to be better with his hands right through here, get more depth, so that shallow is clearly in front of the dig, and they're on two different levels. Nice job by the curl, keeping width, but we still want him to get back to the quarterback. So I'm going to show you a couple shots of this here. This is an example of, yeah, I see the safety. They're blitzing this. I see the safety running out there with the back, okay? But my back's a better athlete than that safety or that linebacker, whatever the case may be that we have. If our deal for the quarterback on the tailback is, one, if we've got enough space, or two, we know we have a huge athletic advantage, then we want to get that ball out to the back as much as we can. It takes pressure off the O-line, gets the ball out of our hand, and off we go. Really poor here by the number 2 receiver, not very pretty there. But you can see, again, just the space to attack, and end up with some big plays off of it. I'll show you a couple other examples here. This is a great look. Okay, so again, first read, high safety. We know we're probably not throwing this, but we still check it. First read, they cover to it. Okay, we get this backer working out. You can still get some shots here. Let's imagine this backer hangs in here and this corner stays really firm and jumps the back. A lot of times you can still get that hole shot there in the cover 2. So they don't necessarily take it away yet, but right there we know it's taken away. Eyes on the tailback, backer overplaying him. So now we get down here. This is where the fun starts. So we run a lot of the kind of the Y option route, all right? Whether it's in line or split out, it doesn't matter, but the just pressing right here to that void area and just taking that in a quick game scenario. So you can see that's what this Mike is playing. He's running out there because he's got to be responsible to squeeze that. So what happens is he's running out, they see these stems, he's pressing out to number 3. Now he's got to transition and catch our fastest receiver, which is tough. If he's hanging in there, we need to be throwing Y option all day. Okay. So there we go. Now we catch him with speed, and we turn a short completion into a big play. So really nicely done. Real good progression by the quarterback. This has always been a quarterback favorite again to me because it's so simple. There's no only read it versus this or blah, blah, blah. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It never changes no matter what they do, period. And that's, I think the simplicity and consistency of it has been helpful for our guys. Here's another shot of it. Great look here. Okay. Loose on the vert. Okay. We see nothing on the back, especially very out leveraged by this safety. We're backside. This is a great job by the quarterback too, because the temptation would be to drop this off here. You could, but I think what he's feeling is this extra defender kind of falling back in right here. Should have never left. And this is a great job in a zone. Again, so you see a really nice stem by the Y to set the pick. Squares it off. Really nice levels by these two. And again, we just see us throttle it down in that zone. Curl stays nice and wide. So even if we do curl this up, we're going to be fine there as far as spacing. And if they do squeeze this like crazy and cover that up, then obviously we know now that I'm one-on-one with the curl. This is a good view of it. Let me show you that view. So again, you can see eyes left right now. Boom. My eyes are to this side. Feel that mic running. There we go. Replace him with that dig. It's another good look here as well. Okay. So pre-snap, I know I'm pretty out leveraged right here with the back. Nothing on the vert. Check the back. Nothing there. You can see he is backside already. Let me show you this view. Okay, so I'm already, look at that, before he hits his third step in the drop, he's already backside. Okay, so see how it plays out. You're going to see this mic step down right there, and now I'm replacing him with the dig right now. Yeah, I think, you know, this runner, this is the guy you want to have feel. This is where you want your most explosive guy, and then you definitely love to have a player one-on-one that you can win with outside. Curl, you could see once again keeping pretty good width. And if they were to squeeze this, now I'm one-on-one with the curl. We don't throw the curl on it a ton. We have. It's good. But, you know, that the other four are pretty tough to cover. One more shot of it here. Yes, once again, man, just a great – it's been a great concept for us. You know, one that it's kind of withstood the test of time. Another one that, again, that I, you know, coverage-wise, going into the game plan, if I've got a quarterback that's comfortable and really loves that concept, and I don't really pay a whole lot of attention coverage-wise, I don't feel like there's anything that we don't have answers to on that concept, really both of those two. So I was going to check here too and see if we had any other questions here.
Sure thing, Coach. We got a few here for you. So you have, if you have the cross, it's always going from right to left. On play action, what route complements to go the other way if the Y lines up in the slot on the left?
Same thing. We'll definitely do it from the other direction. That was probably just a little bit more of just a few of the clips that we picked out, but we'll certainly run the cross from left to right. And then I think the other thing that's a great compliment off of that is just the deep sail route, you know, and showing the crossing route. Let me go back to my screen share here. You know, would be from whichever side you do it, but the deep sail route with either the vert or the post out there, and now you just run your curl backside. I mean, those are great complementary routes to this. But I would say, you know, we're so married to the Y cross that, I mean, you know, 95% of the time we're gonna stick to that, work our tags as opposed to trying to do something off of it.
Coach, another one. Any quick coaching points on shallow screen / quarterback draw concept?
Yeah. No, the shallow screen's been good for us. You know, we've thrown it quite a bit, and then when we've had a, you know, a quarterback that's been able to run a little bit, we've you know, worked around, played around with some draw actions off of it. The main coaching points I would say is you got to be really sharp on how you're going to identify, you know, who you want your line working to. I mean, that's a lot of times going to be based on, you know, how you feel like they're going to try to cover the shallow. For us, we've always loved to throw it more than we've loved to throw the draw or run the draw. But it's been good. I would say this, it can't be just a flavor of the week play. I'll say it can't be. We haven't been good enough coaches to do that. It's been something that we've had to heavily invest in. And when we've had when we've had an athletic quarterback, it's been a good, solid, pretty easy play for us.
Got another one here. Why cross is so big for you? What percentage of it, with the variations of tags that you have, would you say average percentage of how many times that is called during a game?
Oh, for us, man, varies. I mean, I would say on the high end, we might call it 6 or 7 times a game. On the low end, maybe twice. You know, and kind of all different variations. You know, there's times where you love spreading the field and just creating those different scenes, and then when we have been able to run the football well, the play actions, as you saw, have been able to give us some one-on-one matchups in mans or in, you know, quarters where we're getting safeties down. It's also in different zones been able to affect backers and get them out of their zones, and allow us to hit some big plays there too. So, you know, I have a hard time telling you which one we like the most. They're both pretty good, but certainly it's always been a big part of what we do. Oh, might have lost your audio there, Eric.
Best concept against 3 high safety look that you'll see over the course of many weeks in a row?
Oh, man. It's, you know, we're seeing a lot of that in our league right now. I think a lot of leagues are starting to see it. It's kind of the in vogue defensive thing right now. Man, it's tough. I mean, it's a good concept. I mean, I think first, you know, being able to run the football against it is important. You know, when you've got 3 safeties back there, I don't care how you line them up. If they're going to stop the run, they're going to have to be aggressive to the run. And if you can run the football, and then you know, you get yourself the opportunity to play action it, which I think is, you know, is some good stuff. And then I think some of your different zone beaters, I think it's a great time to get into 5 wide, you know, when you're getting that much 3-man rush, just because you feel like you know, you got to feel like 5-on-3, that your numbers are pretty decent as far as protecting. You get the field spread right away. So I think it's a great time to get into some of your favorite 5 wide pass concepts.
And we got one here about the GT play. Any specific coaching points on your GT play?
Yeah, you know, I would say honestly very similar to the shallow screen concept. It's something to me that you have to commit to. If you're going to do it, you know, I would either do it and go all in and work it and make it just a base part of your package, or I wouldn't mess with it at all. And I think the toughest thing I've seen, at least, is when people are kind of halfway in, halfway out, or think they're only going to run it 1 week or only practice it this much. And it takes a lot of work. Yeah, it's great. Obviously creating gaps. I think just how giving your linemen, especially your pullers, and then your tailback, as many live looks of it as you can get, and different fits is very, very important. And then I think how you coach the tailback is very important on that. He's got to understand and be, even more than like a zone play to me, or even a power scheme. I think he's got to be so in sync with those linemen. And, you know, are they spilling us? Are they trying to box us in? You know, how are we leveraging those blocks? How are we expecting those to happen? And that back has got to be just as tuned in to what's happening up front, and how they're attacking that edge as a line do, because the cuts happen fast. But you know, it's tough. I mean, you ask anybody defensively at creating those extra gaps, you know, and especially, you know, being able to pull 2 players when you're in a 4 wide set. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered gaps there pretty quickly. So it's, you know, it's definitely become something that is a staple of what we do, but part of it is we've invested that much in it to try to become decent at it. And I think it takes that.
You have time for one more question?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Next one is the defense the coverage and pressure that you see. What is the flavor of the month, so to speak, or the flavor of the season, so to speak, when it comes to coverage and pressure that you guys are seeing these days?
Oh, well, I mean, everybody's doing some form of the 3 safety stuff. I mean, we see, we saw it all throughout our conference. We saw it in our non-conference games. We saw it against LSU in the semifinal game. I mean, everybody's doing some form or fashion of that. And then I think after that, a lot of it just comes down to personnel, who feels like they can play man coverage and hold up, who feels like they can't. I get asked a lot, like what's still the, defensive scheme coverage, this or that gives you guys the most trouble or that you don't want to see. And my answer has never changed on that through 15 years. It's the one with good players. I mean, I've seen some damn good teams that all they do is play cover four, some damn good teams that play man every snap, some damn good teams that play zone and never blitz, some damn good teams that blitz like crazy and are really good. And the damn good ones have damn good players. And I mean, that's and then when you get a good scheme and a good creative coordinator to go along with it, those are the toughest, but also the most fun challenges. I mean, those are the ones that we look forward to the most.
I got another one if you got time.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
3 years ago, you were thrust into the role of head coach in June, just a couple months before the season. You were able to win 12 games in that first year, keep things together. What have you done to kind of build your own brand as head coach and elevate it a little more from maybe where Coach Stoops left it?
Well, I don't know that we've done that. Coach Stoops had a pretty unbelievable run here, but I honestly probably hadn't tried to brand it to myself at all. I mean, I've just tried to do, what I believed in. I never wanted to change things just so I could change it, just so it could like be my program or any of that. Like that's not me. A lot of the things we do are things that I took from Coach Stoops because I see things very similar to him or have a lot of very similar beliefs. There are some changes. We've probably evolved more in the recruiting side of it. I would say, and the social media side and the, connecting with fans, recruits, all of that. We've probably evolved in that area more than anything. But listen, there was a lot more going right here than was going wrong. And so I certainly wasn't going to change things just to change it for, for my ego or anything like that. I just, I hadn't tried to put my own brand on it at all. I've just tried to get up each day and, do what I think's best and then rely on the great people that we have here.
Got another one. Just tell me when to stop, Coach.
Good. Let's do two more. How about that?
You got it. Two more is good. How heavily do you guys rely on analytics and game prep?
We definitely look at it. I think there's a feel though. If I had to like handicap it, I'm definitely more on feel than I am analytics, but I pay attention to analytics. I think it can give you good information, but also, where are those analytics coming from? And every game, the situations, the matchups, the weather, the score, I mean, everything's different. And so to think that all the time that what some team did on a 3rd and 10 when they were up 20 points and it was in the rain 6 weeks ago is going to have a bearing on what they do on 3rd and 9 against us when they're down 7 on a beautiful day. Like, I don't know. I do think it's valuable, and I do think there's some great things, but I think you got to pick the parts that are valuable, but I don't think you can ever leave your field as a coach.
And then finally, when you mentioned social media, so that got a question going. Someone asked, how do you address social media with your team with all the negativity out there? Of course, it can be used as a positive, but with all the negativity, what is your message to them?
I think just educating them on, first, you're going to become consumed by what you look at. I don't believe there's a human being on earth that can read things about themselves or whatever and not have some type of impact on them. And so I think sometimes we give ourselves too much credit on that. I mean, I've been doing this for a few years, not as long as some, but I mean, I still to this day, I don't get a newspaper. During the season, I don't read anything. I mean, nothing. And I just, what are you putting in your mind and what are you thinking about on a daily basis? And so, for us, I mean, we encourage our guys to, I don't shut them off other than game day, just because I feel like that's part of the world right now, and that's part of how guys communicate, and that's part of how guys get news and see what's going on. So I don't want to put their head in the sand, but also educate them on, sticking to your priorities, listening to what's important. I think that is so big for these guys to understand that, and then again educating them on, number one, what if you get your satisfaction from social media, then you're going to get the negativity too. You can't have both. And the satisfaction needs to come from your family, from your teammates, from your coaches, the people that you know are in the foxhole with you, not from somebody online that you've never heard of.
Well, Coach, I greatly appreciate it. Appreciate you giving up time during your busy day, especially for what everyone's dealing with right now. All the curveballs and sliders that are thrown our way, and managing that, and keeping your program together, and done such a great job in your tenure as head coach. We look forward to continuing the relationship with you, with Louisiana and the University of Oklahoma. And I appreciate you joining us, and our coaches want to tell you thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Eric. No, it's an honor to talk to you guys. I hope everybody stays safe there during the COVID. We'll be keeping up, and much respect and best of luck to everybody this year. Hope to see you guys soon.
You got it, Coach. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you guys. You're welcome.